headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.
Everybody's having a go at Nazanin because they say she has been ungrateful after having been rescued. But for all kinds of reasons which we go through, I just think people should lay off her for a while. She's been incarcerated for 6 years, most of it on her own. And it seems to me that people are just looking for a reason to have a go at her. She needs to get her head back together.
Yeah, I think you've got a point. I think there's a lot of people that, will throw loads of abuse at her. And of course, we disagree with that. I mean, you probably get our fair share of it and it's wrong. Abusing people is wrong. However, I think
I don't know. I quite like it myself, but
of course you do.
Being abused and abusing others. But anyway, you have to like it, I suppose, to be, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously that's, a lot of the things that some people are saying are wrong. However, I don't disagree with people saying that she's ungrateful. I don't know if ungrateful is the right word, but I think her anger is misplaced, in my opinion. I think she has a right to be angry. I don't think anyone's saying that she doesn't have a right to be angry. I mean, if I was incarcerated for 6 years, I'd be fuming as well. But her anger is at the wrong...
You would be fuming. Yeah, but she doesn't know that yet. She's only just got back. She's had the world's press, I suppose, in her face since she's got back. And I would imagine if I'd been incarcerated or you've been incarcerated and we would have, and the Foreign Office were saying, I mean, I think what Mr. Hague said before is quite valid. I think the Foreign Office is probably not fit for purpose. I think that probably all this, would be very quiet. Don't make a fuss and we'll get you out of here. It doesn't work very much at all. And successive foreign secretaries didn't have any luck in getting her out. I know we got her out because we paid the money, and why we paid the money I'm not sure, but I'm sure somebody will tell us at some point. But I just think, putting her on a platform in front of all the media and asking her the day after she'd done 6 years and much of it in solitary is wrong.
I think the media's been really irresponsible. And the thing that makes me feel the most uncomfortable is stringing out the poor little 9-year-old girl that doesn't know her mother and has met her mother for one day. And you can tell on the poor girl's face that she's not comfortable and she's not okay. And they're putting her out. It's just irresponsible. But I do understand why people are angry with what she's saying, because ultimately the people that she should be angry at are the people that unlawfully captured her for the...
Well, yeah, we're all angry with the Iranians. They're a bunch of pillocks, not the Iranian people. The Iranian people are lovely. In fact, Iran was one of the most westernized Middle Eastern countries until the religious nutcases took over. But, yeah, you're right, and which is a shame, really, because I expect you to have a bit more of a go at me, Sophie, so I could have a go at you, because after your Twitter thing saying you think she should be more grateful and she was very ungrateful, I thought you'd be exactly the sort of person who'd disagree with me.
Yeah, I mean, I do disagree with you. I do think that her anger is completely misplaced. I do think that broadcast on the BBC was irresponsible and it is pretty much a Labour Party broadcast.
Well, that's the BBC is an arm of the Labour Party. I mean, I think,
There is no reason for her, really...
And no, I don't want to go on Desert Island Discs before you ask. Sorry, Sophie.
I don't think there's any reason that we should really be blaming the British government, who are the people that set her free. Understandably, yes, it's going to be frustrating for her, but ultimately the sanctions were preventing us from paying debt. And the fact that if you do pay the debt, it's kind of giving light to the Iranians to think, right, we can just go and kidnap more people. That's something that's to be careful with as well.
Well, yes, I do agree with you with that. But I think, as I've said before, it's not just you, but it's people who agree and are saying stuff on social media. Oh, what an ungrateful person she is. None of them, nor me, but none of them have been incarcerated like that in a foreign country that doesn't have any human rights, that treats people appallingly, have any idea. And I think we would all come back sort of really annoyed that our government did frig all to actually help us to get out. And I don't know how Boris managed to get the money paid, because there were a lot of restrictions on paying that money, but Boris obviously did something. We don't know yet.
I think it's that they put it through as they could only use it to do like humanitarian duties. And now whether they do use that money to do that is probably they're not going to do that. I think we all know that.
Well, no, they could have said that years ago. So they could have been given that option years ago. And I imagine Nazanin is feeling quite pissed off about the whole thing, that, she's been there for 6 years, a long time, 6 years, when you think about it. You can assault a policeman. You could assault a policeman in this country and get out in, well, probably a year.
Yeah. I mean, you could do a lot worse than that and get out in a lot of 6 years in this country. It's a bit of a joke. But to be fair, the one thing I found really responsible is the way that the Labour Party are behaving about this as well. They've clearly, obviously, you know, Nazanin does have connections with the Labour Party. We've all seen the photo of her stringing it out with Keir Starmer. And again, I think that's...
Well, that wasn't her... That's not her fault, really, because she doesn't know the history of the last 6 years as far as politics is concerned. And also... Sorry, also her MP is a Labour MP, Tulip, can't remember the rest of her name, but Tulip. And she's been, I have to say, the MP has been making as much out of it as she can for her own ends, I would imagine. And poor old Nazanin is stuck in the middle there. And I imagine Richard, who's looked quite sheepish, standing behind her a lot of the time, is probably trying. Listen, it must be really difficult getting back together with somebody that you were madly in love with, that you married, that you haven't really seen, touched, or although you've spoken to for 6 years.
I mean, there's no way she's come back the person that she is, that she's left.
No.
Not only they've now got a 9-year-old daughter that doesn't know their own mother. But the thing is with the Labour Party is they're blaming the government for a lot of this, which, you know, is what they're going to do. But ultimately, the debt was incurred under a Labour government, and there was Labour governments between the time when the debt was incurred and now. I mean, you had Blair, Brown. They could have paid it off. Why didn't they pay it off? So saying that she got kidnapped because this government didn't pay off this debt is irresponsible. And what they're doing is they're basically manipulating this poor woman that's been incarcerated for 6 years.
I couldn't agree with you more, sadly. But what I disagree with you about is the fact that you and lots of other people were sort of having a go at Nazanin on social media, who probably doesn't even know what Twitter is. And I think it's very unfair. A lot of people.
She definitely knows what Twitter is.
Yeah, well, okay, probably has no real, you know, I just think there's some real moronic idiots who've been having a real go at her, and some of these keyboard warriors are just pathetic pieces of human flotsam and jetsam.
We deal with it all the time. I mean, some of the things you get and I get is absolutely ridiculous, and ultimately Nazanin's probably got a lot of that as well. But I think it might. But
I think you, because you're pretty hard-headed and obviously a redhead, so you know, and I have no hair at all. Go straight over me. I couldn't care less what anybody says about me, really. In fact, as long as they're saying something, that's fine. But you know, she will be quite a vulnerable person after everything she's gone through, and she'll need time to readjust. And I feel sorry. I think Keir Starmer's a complete idiot, to be honest with you. Actually. Using her and doing all of that.
The politicians are using her and this family, and that's obviously going to put her in a vulnerable position. I think that's probably some of the reasons why she said what she said at the BBC broadcast, which is what angered the public, because ultimately she did come across as ungrateful. And
but that's not her fault, because she was put in a position and made to look like that. And you're right, she was used. Used by the Labour Party, and I find that despicable and disgusting.
Good talk.
Hot talk. Bold talk. Talk radio.
Listen on your smart speaker.
Watch it live on your smart TV.
The world headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.